Those days. I remember those days.
Hello, vinyl community. This is Tommy, and welcome to another musical adventure. Today's adventure is a debate or a topic of discussion. So if you're into this discussion, comment, or as I always challenge you guys, make a video for yourself. If you do, put it in the comments down there. Or if you know someone that might have something to say about this video and they don't watch my channel, send them a share, send them a link to the video, and hopefully this will be a discussion that kind of takes off a little bit. That's the idea. So yeah, share it with your friends, and while you're at it, I'll say it, go ahead and get it out of the way. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do so, please. I appreciate it. I try to reply to all the comments, and I appreciate everyone that takes time to do that. For those of you that don't know, I'm Tommy, and this is Tommy's Musical Adventures. Glad to have you here. So today's discussion and what I want to talk about is original or reissue. What do you go for? Now, and this is going to be, and I'm not going to try to get too lengthy about this, and I grabbed this. This is XTC's go-to. This is a copy. I think this is a Canadian copy that I have, that I picked up somewhere along the way. Of course, it's a great cover. And it got recently reissued on the Ape House label. It's a 2-record set, as all of the XTC albums. I think this was the last one in the set. They've been coming out over the last like 4 or 5 years, slowly but surely, kind of dribbling these things out. They're on 200 weight gram vinyl, masters approved by Andy Partridge, for whatever that's worth. These are great sounding reissues, and I have the full set of them and love them. They're really good. And what I've done because of that is I've gotten rid of most of my originals. I've got a friend of mine that takes my XTC hand-me-downs, and so every time I've bought a new one or got the new reissue, he gets the old ones. And I mean, the old ones are in great shape, and it took me a good amount of time to build up my XTC collection. But like I said, my XTC collection is pretty much all of the new reissues. Now, that's kind of what's got me thinking about this video. And I'm not going to go through everything that I've got, that I've reissued, but I want to kind of give my reasoning behind it. I was having a discussion with a friend earlier today, and he was sort of telling me that I kind of only go for OGs, I go for original ones. Now, I see a lot of people that post online and social media, and there's a lot of misinformation about what actually is an OG, if you even use that term. OG, pretty much to me, would mean an original pressing, an original copy. But I mean, you have albums like the Beatles, for example, or groups like the Beatles, who've put out albums that have been repressed and repressed and repressed and repressed. And what I see a lot on social media is people showing, oh, I'm spinning this OG Sgt. Pepper, and it's got like an Apple label on it or something, and you're going, that's not an OG. So you're misusing the term, but that's not really, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit trail, but there is, to me, a sort of, I won't say a misconception, but there's a belief that original means better. Now, having said that, I've replaced my entire XTC collection with the new ones, because the new ones sound superior, and they're just great copies of those records. Their audiophile quality of those records. Now, there are a couple of albums that I keep for academic purposes, but in the last like 3 or 4 years, what I've really kind of decided about having a big record collection and sort of paring things down, in an effort to pare things down, I've really decided to sell off or get rid of copies that I'm just not going to play. It's become too academic for me and just not as much fun to have, 6 copies of an album, even an album that I love, because which one am I going to listen to is what it ultimately comes down to for me. What am I going to grab when I go to grab that album off the shelf and put it on and listen to it? Which one am I going to listen to? And that's the most important thing. And this goes into a whole other debate topic, and I've discussed it here on my channel as well. But this whole thing of, are we buying the records to collect them, which is fine if that's what you're doing and that's what you're about. That absolutely, you're not going to get any finger pointing from me on that. Are you buying them to collect, or are you buying them to listen to or to enjoy? For me, it's about the music, and I've said this before on my channel in a previous video. And so I want to get the most enjoyment out of the music. And so the collectability of it doesn't really play a factor in having it. If I've got a record that is collectible for whatever reason, then that's fine. But for me, more importantly, is just having it to listen to and having it to enjoy. And so what I've done, and like I said, in an effort to sort of pare down my collection, so just keep from having just multiple copies of everything, is if I get a better pressing or a better quality, or even if it's a new pressing, then I'll probably get rid of the older one, because I'm very likely not to grab the old one. Now, there are a couple of things that I've made exceptions to, and I'll talk about those briefly, hopefully. Beatles, for example. I've got with Beatles stuff. I tend to go stereo mono, like with most of the American albums, if I can find, and I think I have most of them, a stereo copy and a mono copy, because there are variances in those. And sometimes I want to listen to mono, and sometimes I want to listen to stereo. So it's just, whatever I want to grab. I know maybe some of my overseas viewers will be like, why would you even bother with the American albums anyway? And look, fair enough, whatever you want to say. I think some of the American albums are fine in their configurations. I know that they're not recognized, or whatever you want to call it, but the American albums, there's arguments for them, and we're not going to get into that, but I think stereo mono is the exception for me with a lot of albums, and that's not just Beatles. I'm using the Beatles as an example, but for really anybody, especially if the mono mix is significantly different. But going back to the OG versus the original, and I'll go back to Beatles. To me, most of the original American albums were not really well-pressed albums. They weren't of a great quality. And so that comes into this whole thing of do you want a good pressing with a good quality? Or are you going for the nostalgia of it and just the fact that it is an original pressing, which in case is a great reason. Again, you're not going to get any finger pointing from me on any of that stuff, because, we're all into different things. And so this isn't a video designed to point fingers or to say anyone's right or wrong about it. I'm just giving you sort of my thoughts about it. Recently, and I'm rambling a little bit, and hopefully this will all be coherent in some form. But I'm a big fan of a lot of the new jazz reissues that have been coming out, particularly the Verve acoustic sounds, some of the tone poets, and the original jazz classics, which Kraft has been putting out, which are really good cuts. Kevin Gray and Ryan K. Smith have been involved with those, and good pressing engineers or cutting engineers. And to me, like, it makes sense to spend 30 or 40 bucks on a new pressing of a Miles Davis record that's cut by Kevin Gray, versus going out and digging and finding an original copy and paying maybe 50, 60, 70, 80 bucks if it's in great shape. To me, just as not only just financially, it makes more sense, but it also makes sense to me from a listening standpoint. Because for me, it comes back to, what I'm going to listen to and what I'm going to enjoy hearing. So to have a nice new copy that I know is clean, that I know is going to play well, that's going to sound really good because it's cut by an engineer that knows what they're doing. All of those things factor in. Of course, a lot of the jazz ones, they've got the nice tip-on jackets, Staunton tip-on jackets, and they're just fantastic. And so, like I said, from a financial standpoint, not just from an audio standpoint, and again, not to be like I'm not an audiophile snob. I don't have a $50,000 setup, and it's like, oh well, my pressing of Love Supreme is far superior, blah blah blah. Because to me, it doesn't matter as long as you're enjoying the music. Again, I go back to that. Are you enjoying the music? Are you getting something out of the listening experience? And so, like I said, new pressings sometimes do that. I've pretty much replaced my entire, just like with XTC, I've replaced my entire Frank Zappa collection with the new copies, the new pressings. They're cut by Chris Bellman, Bernie Grunman, and a lot of them sound superior to the original copies. Again, why would I go out and pay even 20 bucks for a half beat up original copy when I can pay 25, 30 bucks and get a better sounding new copy? I don't know. For me, that's an easy choice. Having said that, what are your thoughts? Are you strictly OG only? Is that all you're going for? Give me the original copies of whatever album I'm after. That's the one I'm going to grab. Or are you cool with the reissues? And for the same reasons that I am. Like, can you get something out of them? Now, there are always, again, sometimes the reissues are really all about, and this goes back to the Record Store Day discussion. Please, if you're watching this video, this is not about a debate on Record Store Day. Seems like every time Record Store Day comes up, it like triggers people into saying something. They have to say something. I'm not getting into the debate on Record Store Day. I'm not going to do it. But I will say that one of the things I do enjoy about Record Store Day is getting access to some records that are really hard or really expensive to find, and you can get some nice new copies of it. Now again, and one more thought about this, and I'm going to cut this video off and let you guys comment because I'm probably going to ramble on about it. But is this whole digital versus analog thing, some reissues, you get into the debate like, a digital is, an album that's cut digitally is just basically a copy of a CD. And so, and especially with MoFi Gate and all the stuff that happened with that, I understand that and I respect that completely. To be honest, my ears and probably my system, I can't tell the difference between a lot of that, between the digital versus analog. Yes, I would probably err on the side that analog is better, but I think a record that was made in 1998 probably wasn't recorded analog anyway, so you're kind of getting into semantics about it. But an old record like a Beatles record, yeah, there's something to be said versus an analog tube cut or something like that, or using an analog source versus the digital cut. That's way technical, but again, The Pink Floyd reissues are another great example of that. They're cut by Bernie Grundman. They sound great to me. The ones that I've got, they've all sounded really nice and quiet and all the things you want from a vinyl, dynamic, all those things. Are they digitally sourced? Yeah, they are. I mean, but again, I'm not a purist. I just know what sounds good to my ears. So there you go. So original versus reissue. Why not both? Again, for me, it's what am I going to grab? What am I going to listen to? Not going to fault the OG only guys. I think that's fine. And some of it may just be the thrill of the dig. And I understand that too, because I relate. There's something about going in the store and finding that title that you've been looking for your entire life. That's awesome. There's something to be said about that. And my hat's off to you. It sure beats like just going on like Amazon and clicking it and saying, all right, and getting it a day later and, here you go. But anyway, I'm going to stop now. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. Make a video, if you will. I would enjoy it. If you do make a video, put the link down there. Help grow your channel, hopefully. Help grow my channel. Share this. All that good stuff. I appreciate it. So that's all I've got. OG versus reissue. Give me your thoughts. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.